trying to choose news, newspaper, The Nation. Should I be more open to the New York Times? I find myself, anyway, even listening to podcasts as I do of people I respect, that I'm not being informed so much as hearing and being reassured that someone, a Norman Finkelstein, is saying something that I feel. He agrees with me. On very rare occasions, which might have been less rare when I was young, I hear something new or suddenly realize, oh, I agree. It does happen. It is delicious. I remember hearing that in school and it was thrilling. Now it seems an intimation I would have heard inside is confirmed or fleshed out by who I hear, or a point is incompletely made and I can add to it. The original might have done so, but had to go water plants or make love to a lover. And so this is also a thrill, this realization, still less but more warming. Most honestly, the best I can hope for, which is huge, is that the writer or speaker expresses what they feel. So I will know what they feel. This is the most generous of sharings and the most useful to hear. I will say to myself that people think that way. A person feels that way. They have allowed themselves that feeling. That is good to know. Now, it might tend patronizing. It might be a rhetorical attitude or a trick. Every now and again, someone says or writes something one knows has come from deep in them. It's a thought, an idea that is attached deep, and in finding the words to say it out loud, the speaker almost has relieved themselves. You ask someone what they feel about war, and they tell you what they feel, not what they think, and not, which is the worst, they don't claim to be telling you anything universal. They don't say, folks. Often we will find a way to understand war, conflict, that ends life and so ends the possibility of change, understand it in a way that can end war, make it not the last resort, but no resort at all. That discovery gives the speaker a lot of relief, and one can feel that. It seems to set them free. If that person is in a room with soldiers, something useful might actually be achieved. I go in to get into phrase, fisticuffs sometimes, and realize nothing is being said, really. A lot might be being gotten off chests, or chests might be being beaten, a venting of musty superfluity, which is therapeutic. But listening to Gary Stevenson today, whose intent I hear like a ringing a bell before, the sense of what he says today, he says virtually, in order to address inequality, we need to have the best people in charge, tick, tick, tick. And presumably the best people should be paid the best, Gary. Et voila. The argument has been revealed, and now we know why inequality exists from the man who would remove it. Perhaps if someone were in a discussion with him, they'd see the flaw, and the next step could be taken one step beyond. And Gary is capable. So much of this discussion is actually a sort of medieval tournament, and tournaments are won. Contestants have important names and pedigrees. They win. Somebody proves they are unequal to the rest, that they are better than the rest, which is no success at all. The very reason the equality discussion has never been resolved in the places where those discussions are had is that we find our identity, which is, I think, our highest imperative, deepest desire and need, ignored at peril. We find it, identity, relatively. We define ourselves by measuring ourselves against others, other people, other animals, gods, mountains, whatever our imagination can fathom. We want reassurance we are exactly not equal. We are better than, or getting there. We are born thus, trying to prove, being judged so, judging ourselves so. We think we define ourselves this way, but we don't. We just paint a portrait of what we're not. So commonality, equality, becomes unbearable. It is anathema. We are never ever at peace with the sense of wonder that one exists among such wondrous creatures. Miranda from The Tempest. Oh, brave new world that has such people in it. I confess I am Miranda, unwary of being took down by the sharks we call smart. I think that people in their competitions, their drive to self-define against, shoot themselves in both foot and between the eyes at once. So discourse looks like combatants thrashing around in a mud pit with lances. I had a great friend staying recently. He has some political ideas I don't. It made no difference to me. I respected him no less, but he thought I did. I must, in his mind, because I didn't share those ideas or conclusions. And I was surprised his conclusions made no difference to my respect for him as him. I can listen to and reflect on things famous opinionators say, assume it is what they think, but be wary of what they feel above all. They will, for instance, rage about the internet because other people rage on the internet, not acknowledging they are raging on the internet. They will judge the other ragers and their rages as stupid or racist and vile and deplorable, while being all those things themselves. I asked my brother the other day, what happens if Trump doesn't allow the next election? Or decides he should run again and running again doesn't win, but says he won? What will the Democrats do? Might they not march on the Capitol? He would not allow it. He would have armed guards. Oh, they're another species. Aren't all revolutions treason? Do you want to take revolution off the list of possibilities? I do. But do we? I think newspapers reflect the world heaving itself consciously forward, and my impression is that they have become, therefore, more and more scriptural. As a kid, I read the Pittsburgh Gazette and then the New Jersey Record. I had read The Guardian in England. I agreed with The Guardian, and they seemed keen that I should. Then as times got tougher for me in the world, The Guardian became sermonic, which was fine, as probably a cult was forming to address the shifting values of the day. I just separated from The Guardian on how to deal with those shifts. I remembered particularly 2 reviews of King Lear, the Deborah Warner one and the David Hare National one. I saw them both magnificent and as different as you could get. The National was full of the appropriate rage and beauty, and the Guardian reviewer extolled both those classical virtues. Go and see it, and you will get a dose of Shakespeare like no other, they seemed to say. It was very grand. The other show was just devastating. An old man, though the actor was quite young, and his difficult daughters, or the difficulties of being the patriarch, no more, no less than A View from the Bridge. Not at all grand, and so much the more satisfying for it. It's long ago, specifics have faded, but I remember Anthony Hopkins raging round the map at the beginning and dropping suddenly into a yoga position. It was stunning and apt. I'll never forget. I suppose it made my thoughts larger, more universal, whereas the other show, the other Lear, was smaller and more personal, like newspapers. The Gazette and Record may be gone by now, I should check. But I remember a quality I loved. The journalists did not seem to know any more than I did, like the storytellers they led me. They would say, in my opinion, instead of not saying that, as if they were oracles.